Greetings everyone. In this video I want to talk about relationships and changing relationships or relationships ending.
Greetings! This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
So what about relationships? When you realize that you have changed and you are no longer the same person that entered a relationship. Now, you're always going to change. Changes can be beneficial or they can be hindrances to your growth, as well as relationships can be beneficial or a hindrance. Now, some of you are in relationships that you should have gotten out of a long time ago, and others of you may be wanting to leave relationships because you want the freedom and you're feeling stifled or whatever. I'm going to look at this from two different observations. Okay. One, first of all, from the person who is being left behind. Okay. The one who, whether they're a source player or a soulless one that has left them, and they're feeling loss and loss of purpose, and those people are codependent. They have relied on someone, something outside of themselves to complete them. This is not unusual. Source players do it all the time. They always look for something outside of themselves to complete them and not take responsibility for their own self-worth. Your self-worth is not attached to a relationship or what anybody else thinks of you outside of you. Self-worth is given to you from within. It is called self-worth. It's because it's what you think of yourself, of what you think of yourself, because it is what you think of yourself. Self-worth. Self-worth. It's not given to you by anyone else. It's an internal job. It's an inside job. Your subconscious, what it believes about you and your experience here. Now, to those who have someone that they are extremely attached to. Now, you remember in the previous video that I talked about relationships, and everything in this matrix needs to be held with an open hand. An open hand means you're not trying to hold on to it so tightly that you are not letting it go. And then it has to be pried. When it's tight, it has to be pried open out of your hand. That's always uncomfortable, but when you recognize that relationships are by consent and both people are agreeable to them, then that's the best kind of a relationship to have. Now, it can be suffocating if someone is so attached to you that you can't breathe. And whenever you have someone in a relationship that is not a frequency match to you, or is hindering you, or you're feeling like you are trapped in a relationship, then that's not a beneficial state of mind to be in. And you know this deep inside. Your subconscious knows it. And in many cases, the idea of right and wrong is what holds you in a relationship far longer than you ever should be. Now, I'm going to address the relationship, and I'm also going to address some other things like replacing a dissolved relationship with another relationship, which is never a beneficial thing. But let's go back to if someone has chosen to remove themselves from your relationship, then you have to respect that. And you need to respect yourself. That person no longer wants to be with you. You need to get over it. Do you really want to be around someone and have a relationship with someone who doesn't want to be with you? Really? Do you want to really hold on to a relationship because you think it's love? No, it's codependence. Love has nothing to do with it. If love was the reason, then you would release them and say, oh, I want what's best for them, and obviously they've chosen something else, and so you say, farewell, and you move on with your life. So many of you think it's, oh, you love them, and you smother them in your love, and they can't get away from you fast enough. Okay? Now, in many cases, relationships are removed from you because you're no longer a frequency match. And it's their choice. Either you're moving up in frequency and they're not moving along also, or they're dragging behind, or they're hindering your growth. And in that case, it benefits you to move along. And if you are staying in a relationship because abandonment issues, you were abandoned, your dad left your mom, and you would never do that. Well, do you want to do that? You see, if you're feeling like you need to move on, but you stay because of past programming and things playing through your mind, then that's not beneficial to you either. You need to get to the root of the matter, and this is all subconscious work. There is no right, there is no wrong, unless you believe it is so. Unless you believe it. You can be in duality. Neutrality is where you really want to be. And in neutrality, you are holding everything with an open hand, and it's okay if it's there and it's okay if it's gone. You appreciate and enjoy that time that you have with that person, but you're in no way, shape, or form so linked to that person that if they were removed from your illusion experience, that you would be so devastated. Now, for those left behind, it is a self-worth issue, and it is, you've been dumped, and it doesn't feel good to be dumped. It never does. Don't take it as your self-worth. It's an opportunity for growth, and for dealing with those subconscious worth issues that you are experiencing. Now, I'm going to talk about married couples. Now, I say, don't get married. Don't get married. And I say, don't have children, especially now. Don't get married, don't have children. And so you have a couple who have gotten married or not, and there is a child involved. There's a child involved, source or soulless, it doesn't matter. There is a child involved. And you have one of the two who is stay-at-home taking care of that child, and the other one decides, well, they're footloose and fancy-free, and they want to exit that script that they were in, and they want to move along. Well, this becomes, well, there are laws in the land that provide for child support and in some cases alimony. It depends on the country, it depends on whatever. But there is a shakeup in the family. Now, let's say it's the woman who's taking care of the child and staying at home. Well, you have a choice. You can send that child off to be with their daddy and have your freedom. Now, you'll still have to pay child support, but hey, sometimes paying child support is better for you than the responsibility of that child. Don't think that you're stuck if you're a woman. You can play the man's game. You can send that child to be with their daddy, and their daddy can take responsibility for the child care and raising of that child. Now, you as a mother, your maternal instincts coming in here and saying, oh, I can't give up my child, blah, 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 blah. See, these are all inside issues that you have to deal with. Now, what if you don't want the kid and the dad doesn't want the kid? Well, there is the government. Did I say that? Oh. But it's an option. And the only thing that would keep you from ditching that child, possibly, is because of your programming. Your programming. Now, there's cause and effect. You make a choice, there is an effect to that choice. You have to live with it. You have to live with it. And living with it involves subconscious programming and how you will process the effects of those choices. Now, I'm going to address this particular issue to men. Well, and it applies to women too, but more often to men. I'm going to address the women first. Actually, it applies to both. Okay. So a woman or a man feels unappreciated in an old relationship. They've been together for many, many, many years, and they may have had children. And the children has been the glue that has held a marriage or a relationship together because of the kids. And as soon as the kids get old enough and they graduate, well, they're left alone facing each other, and there are no distractions now, and it's just the two of them. And a lot of marriages collapse and fall apart at that point in time because there's nothing there to keep it together. People have changed over 20 some years, and they're not the same sex crazed, hormone released individuals they were in their early 20s when they got married. And I need to address the sex factor in this, and I'm going to do that in a different video, but let's talk about, you have a man or a woman in the workforce, and they meet another individual who understands them, unlike their current wife or husband, and seems to care about them more about them than their current wife or spouse or husband. And there's an attraction because, wow, this person understands me unlike I've ever experienced before. And soon sex follows. Okay, sex follows. And I'm going to say the simple act of sex completes a energetic connection between two people, unlike any other connection. Yes. If you are in a relationship, I strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that you stay out of a sex, orgasm, penetration mode for a year. 1 year. 1 year to test that relationship. Now, if that other person can't stay with you for a year because there's no sex, well, then that's no relationship to be in. And if you are in that mindset that you have to have sex out of that relationship, well, then you're not fit for that relationship. You're not fit for the relationship. You have no self-control. Now, I've told you what orgasm does in this game. And it is very few relationships that can be together and survive without sex in this illusionary matrix. You see, both people have to be of a high enough frequency to recognize that It is an energy. It's about energy, and they have to be agreed, or they won't be together. They won't be together. There is so much about this. But most importantly, if you have been left behind and someone has moved out of your relationship, there's no right and there is no wrong. Let's go back to relationships first being friendships and not about sex. Can you have a relationship without having sex? Can you have a deep friendship relationship with an open hand that allows for each individual in that relationship to have lots of room for growth? And there not be expectations. You see, I've said this before. People don't get involved in relationships unless they have something to gain from them, whether it be growth or security or whatever it is. There is some need that's being filled in that individual source player's life for them to be involved in a relationship. This is where the inside work has to happen. Now, if you have been left, then you need to do the work to get your mind into a wholeness state of being and realize that you're okay. You are a powerful creator. And if that person left, then you're better off without them. You're better off without them, even if you can't see it right now. You have choices to make. Choices to make. And for those who leave, yes, there is a price to pay for that freedom. And there are responsibilities that they will have to complete if they have children. Now, if there are no children, it should be a pretty easy and simplistic dissolving of that relationship. But some people have a hard time letting go. And you need to be able to let go. It is in your own best interest. Have self-worth. Realize that you are source. Relationships do not define who you are. They do not define who you are. It's an inside job. Don't stay in a relationship longer than you should. Even if it's from other people's expectations. It's never a good thing. You need a strong source self-connection. You need a strong source self-connection more than anything else, more than that relationship, more than anything. You need a strong source self-connection. And let your source self guide you into those things that benefit you. I'm going to say letting go of some relationships and paying out some money is many times more beneficial than holding on to those relationships. Okay? Cash, let it flow, and don't fight it. It's a result of your choice. You have a responsibility towards a child that you are responsible for because you brought it into the world as part of your script or not. Now I'm also going to address the fact that maybe you were in a script when you married that person. But even within your script, you had a choice. You could have married multiple different people. It's all choices. So that person was just one potential choice that you made. It doesn't benefit you to stay in a state of codependency or sadness, depression. You need to snap yourself out of it. You need to flick it off of your mind. You need to flick it off of your mind and move on with your life. Making choices in this now day that benefit you, Now, you may have to deal with some stuff until it is closed, till that particular part is closed, and then move on, But start moving on right now. Right now. Now, if you have found this information to be beneficial to you, then it benefits you to say thank you via PayPal. The link is in the description below. As you unlock, frequency unlocks for yourself that you can unlock no other way. It is an inside job, and you have to do it for yourself. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you. You can do this. You can experience your best life yet.